Hey everyone, welcome to economics classes. I'm Sunidhi Arya and I do teach economics on this channel. Today I'll be teaching class 9 chapter 1, the story of village Palampur. Before starting the class, I would like to give you a brief introduction about me. I'm Sunidhi Arya. I have done graduation in economics from Crodimel College, Delhi University. Right now I'm pursuing masters in economics. So before starting the class, I would like to give you a brief overview what all we are going to study in this class. So we'll study the two very important concepts of this chapter. The first one is production and the second one is farming. So we'll study how does the production activity take place in a rural area, how does the farming activity takes place in the rural area, and apart from farming there are some non-farm activities which also happens in the rural area. So if we have to talk about in the one word, we will be talking about the rural economy. When we talk about the rural area, we talk about villages, farms, and most important, agriculture. So when we talk about the rural economy, we will study it with the help of a village. That's why the name of the chapter is the story of village Palampur. We will try to understand the rural economy with the help of a village. So before diving deep into the concept of economy, I would like to give you a brief introduction about the village Palampur. So this village is a hypothetical village. What does it mean? If we go out and look out for this village, we won't be able to find this village because it is a hypothetical village and we have imagined this village. This village does not exist in the reality, so we cannot find this village. Now let's talk about the location of this village. This village has a location. This village is a small village, and if we travel 3 kilometers from this village, so we will reach a bigger village, that is Raiganj. And when we travel further, we will have a small town, that is Shahapur. Raiganj and Shahapur, and on the way you will see there some transportation, that is bogies, bullock carts, motorcycles, scooties. Now let's talk about the demography. What do we mean by the demography? Demography is characteristics of population. We all know what is the population. Population, people living in a particular area. So when we talk about the characteristics of population, it includes a three main component. First one is age, in which age group the people belong to, their sex, whether they are male or female, and their employment structure. What do we mean by the employment structure? Employment structures means whether they are working in the agriculture sector, secondary sector, or tertiary sector. Since we have seen the basic demography and we come to know what does the demography means and what should we look into the demography, I would like to give a brief description about demography of a village. So as I told you earlier, there are 450 families since village is not so big. So 450 among these 450 families, 80 belongs to the upper caste. And when we talk about the upper caste, it means they do own the majority of the land in the village and they do dominate the village economically. They have more economic empowerment than the rest of the village. And one third of the population belongs to the scheduled caste, and this scheduled caste lives in the corner of the village. Suppose this is a village, and in this corner, scheduled caste live, and there are 80 upper caste. So somehow that is how the demography of this village looks like. Now we will talk about the facilities available in the village. So there is a proper electricity. Because of electricity, there is a very well developed system of irrigation. And because of this electricity, some people in the village have small manufacturing units. Apart from the electricity, this village has two primary schools, one higher secondary school, and this is their primary healthcare center which is being run by the government. And apart from primary health center, they have private dispensaries where sick people can avail the medical facilities. So as we can see that it has a well developed system of irrigation. Now we have to understand the very basic concept of an economy, that is infrastructure. What is infrastructure? The exact meaning in Hindi infrastructure is मूलभूत सुविधाएं. Any basic facilities which makes our life easy or makes it easy to conduct a business are known as the infrastructure. Infrastructure is of two kind: physical infrastructure and social infrastructure. Physical infrastructure is something which helps us to smooth functioning of a business. Social infrastructure refers to the well-being of the people. Well-being of the people means how much educated they are, how much effective healthcare services they are having, and how what level of social security is there in the village. When we talk about the physical infrastructure, we means roads, electricity, and as we talk about the village Palampur, this village has the all-weather road. What do we mean by the all-weather road? All-weather road. We know that India has a monsoon type of climate. There is a distinct rainy season, and we do have rain quite well. And when it waterlogging occur on the roads, and due to that waterlogging, it becomes inaccessible to transport on some roads. So all-weather roads provides connectivity throughout the year, irrespective of any climate and any season. Since we have seen all the demography and we have understand the demography of village, we know how does the area look like, and there is a fair developed system of irrigation, electricity, and we have quite good infrastructure. I would like to give you a brief introduction about the production. The production. Before understanding anything, we need to understand what does this mean. What is production? Production means to produce goods and services we want. And we want is a very ambiguous term, because if I am a farmer, I want to produce crops. If I own a factory, so let's say for a car factory, I would product is different for everyone. Production is that process which enable us to produce the goods and services we want. And what makes this production process easily possible is known as the factors of production. So there are four factors of production: land, labor, capital, knowledge and enterprises, जिसको हम entrepreneurship भी कहते हैं. Land. Land is the basic resource, and land is a fixed resource, natural resource. And apart from that, apart from land, we all need other kinds of resources. For example, a farmer needs soil, a steel manufacturing company or a thermal power plant needs water. So land is fixed. No matter what, we cannot increase the amount of land available to us. Now we'll understand the concept of labor. Labor are the people who work to produce something. There are two kind of labor: high skilled labor or low skilled labor. High skilled labor are those people who have certain kind of degree, mostly technical degree, that is engineers and doctors. They do have to do less physical work than the lower skill work. Lower skill labor is one who works on the daily basis, who works more physically than the mentally. About this concept of labor, we will study more in the chapter 2, which is people as a resource. Now, the third factor of production is capital. What is the capital? When I want to start a business, all the investment I need to do, all the money which are required to produce a good is known as the capital. We can segregate the capital into two parts: fixed capital and working capital. Okay, so fixed capital are like one time investment: tools, machineries, tractors, what is going to give me the benefits or result for a longer period of time. We don't need to increase this quantity again and again. That is known as the fixed capital. For example, tractors. Once a farmer has purchased tractors, he does not necessarily need to purchase tractor for every cropping season. He can use same tractor every time. So that is the fixed capital. Once we have made the investment, and now we can use that. Working capital is day-to-day requirements. Money which I need to run my day-to-day operations are known as the working capital. For example, potter. A potter has a wheel on which he produces the pottery. Let's say he is producing a bowl. So the wheel, it is his fixed capital. He can produce n number of bowl using this single wheel, but he won't be able to produce 100 bowls without increasing the amount of clay he is using. If he wants to increase the production, he needs more clay. To purchase more clay, he needs more money, and that money which he requires to run day-to-day business is known as the working capital. Now, third important concept we need to understand is enterprises. We need a person who could manage all the other three resources and can produce the output we want to produce. A person who has bought some land or rented some land, hire some labor, invest some capital and start producing the goods, which is known as entrepreneurship. A particular person who does all the everything. I hope the factors of prediction concept is clear to you, and there is any doubt you can mention it on the comment section below. I would reply that. Now, since I told you in the introduction that in this chapter we will study two main topics. First one is production, second one is farming. Since we have seen the production, now we will see the farming, and we will see farming in the detail. First of all, we need to understand what is farming. Farming is to produce the crops, farm practices. What are the farm practices? All the activities which are required, which we need to do to produce a crop. Now let's see how does the farming done and what all is the thing we need to consider while we are talking about the land. So we know that land is fixed. No matter what, we cannot increase the quantity of land. Land is fixed. India has a 2.4% area of the total world, and we cannot go and buy some other country's land. So land is the fixed resource. Now, as I have told you earlier, 75% of the population in Palampur is dependent on the farming. Their main livelihood is farming. People work as a farmers or farm laborers. Difference between farmers or farm laborer is ownership. A farmer is the owner who produces the crop on his own field. On the other hand, farm laborer is the person who works on someone else's field, who doesn't have ownership of that land. He is working on the basis of wages, on the basis of wages maybe in the cash, in the kind or anything. So when we talk about the Palampur, we can consider it as a Western UP village. And Western UP has a distinct pattern of cultivation. So as we all know, there are two main season in the country. One is the Kharif season, second is the Rabi season. There is a third season, Jaid also, but it is not relevant for you as of now. We will have to study the Kharif season and Rabi season. So in the village Palampur, in the Kharif season, we produce bajra and jowar. And we said bajra and jowar, which is also used as the cattle field for the cattle of the farmers. In the Rabi season, we produce the wheat. As we know, wheat is the staple diet of India, and wheat is sowed in the Rabi season. It's a Rabi crop. Okay, and between these October to December, farmers produce potato, and there is a separate land area which is left for the sugarcane cultivation. We need to understand that in the village Palampur, there is no ideal land. And what do we mean that? All the land which has the capacity to produce a crop is employed to produce a crop. There is no ideal land. all the land which was wasted till the few years ago has been converted into the cultivable lands. There are two concepts: wasteland, the land which has capacity to produce something but we are not producing anything, and the cultivable land, the land in which we are producing a crop in the coming season or in the next season. So this is actively used and this is left ideal. So in the village Palampur there is no wasteland. All the land is the cultivable land. So we are producing at the highest capacity. Since land is fixed, I have already told you that land cannot be increased. So how can we increase the productivity? Population is increasing day by day. There is the issues of food insecurity. We are not going to self-sufficient if we won't able to increase our output. So how to do that? So we will have to increase the productivity of the land. And we need to understand the productivity of the land concept. Before that, we need to understand what is productivity. This is farm A, this is farm B. They both are 1 hectare, but this is producing 1000 quintal and this is producing 3000 quintal. So within the same resources, within the same circumstances, how much a field is performing? The field which is performing better has a more productivity. So there are two ways to increase the productivity: multiple cropping, and second way is to increase the yield. What is multiple cropping? When in the same field we produce more than 2 or 3 crops in a year is known as the multiple cropping. Like I have produced 3 crops in a single area. This is known as the multiple cropping. As I told you earlier, there are two ways of increasing productivity. The first one is multiple cropping and the second one to increase the yield. I have explained everything about the multiple croppings. Now we will understand how do we increase the yield. So first we will have to understand what do we mean by yield. Yield is the crop produced in a given land during a season. In the multiple cropping, we were counting how much crops we are producing in a year. But when we are talking about yield, we are measuring the crop producing during a particular season. As I have told you earlier, there are 3 seasons: Kharif season, Rabi season, and Zaid season. So we are measuring the crop season wise now. So let's understand the irrigation scenario first. As I have told you earlier, that this village has electricity, and due to electricity farmers use tube well for the irrigations. If we talk about the entire India, there is no sufficient facilities of irrigation available. Riverine plains like the area between the Ganga and Yamuna plains, that is UP, Bihar, they have the sufficient amount of water and the irrigation facilities available. And coastal areas also have the facilities available to irrigate a field. But when we talk about the plateau areas like the Deccan Plateau, they do not have sufficient facilities for the irrigation. So they are not able to produce the crop in the better way. Now, till the mid 1960s, Indian farmers were using the traditional seeds. Traditional seeds used to give a low yield and this needed less irrigations, less manure, less fertilizers, and basically the manure which were available in the households. So all the facilities, all the factors we needed to produce were available within the home itself. But since we need to have the self-sufficient and the crop we were producing in the 1960s, due to that we were not able to produce the amount of food which were helped to make us the self-sufficient. So government of India launched in the late 1960s a program which is known as the Green Revolution. And this Green Revolution changed the entire scenario of the agriculture of India. And that's how the India became a self-sufficient country from the country who used high yielding variety seeds. Firstly, they were introduced into the two fields, wheat and rice. Now they needed more irrigation, more manure, more fertilizers, more chemicals. So everything became commercialized. And they were able to produce the more yield, more crop during a single season. And since farmers are having now produce more, and suppose this is a trend, so single plant there was now more wheat available than the earlier crop. Farmers sell the surplus produce to the market, and from the savings they started buying farm machineries, tractors, threshers, so that they could upgrade it at a better level. So upgradation was going on, and our production went from 1300 kg per hectare to 3200 kg with the help of these HYV seeds. But now the question arises, since we are using so much of chemicals, fertilizers, manures, so will it be able to hold for the lifelong? We are using chemicals. So will the land sustain? Sustainability comes into the questions when we use so much of chemicals. Now, because of overused natural resources, we have lost the fertility of the soil. Since we were using the traditional manure and the manure which was available in the home itself in the form of cow dung, now we have replaced it with the chemical fertilizers. So chemical fertilizers has minerals which are dissolved in water, but they do not retain in soil for the so long. So what happened? From the soil, they enter into the water, river, lakes, ponds, and they enter the entire aquatic ecosystem. And apart from that, there is a loss of soil fertility. Since we are using more water for irrigation, we are depleting groundwater, and our water table is going down with every single passing day. So we need to understand that whether this chemical fertilizers is questioning our sustainability or not. So there was very incidents in the Punjab and Haryana where the governments have reported that this fertility of the soil is declining day by day. The cultivable land is turning into the barren land, banjar zameen. Now you cannot produce anything on this field because you have used so much of chemicals. That's it for today's lecture. If you like the content, please like it and share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.